But let's now invite some corporates. The demonetization pain continues to be felt across sectors. From the digital distribution space, UFO Moviez is expected to be the worst hit by demonetization. So let's invite Kapil Agarwal, the joint managing director of the company, to try and find out what the situation is. Hi, Mr. Agarwal. Thanks very much for speaking with us. Just wanted to get a first-hand account of, how things have actually shaped up since the demonetization move was announced. I mean, what's the impact you're feeling? Any sort of a hit as far as your advertising revenues are concerned?
Actually, as you know that we have three revenue streams. One is comes from the film, one comes from the exhibitors, and one is the advertising. Yes, on advertising revenue, we are definitely feeling that some advertising contracts have been withdrawn. So while we have seen some growth as compared to the third quarter of last year in the government advertising in this year, but even the government advertisement has been lower than the expected revenue. And in the corporate sector, we have seen withdrawal of contracts in advertising post demonetization. But overall, we are not seeing a negative growth in the ad revenue as compared to Q3 last year.
Right, negative revenue growth is not a concern, Mr. Agarwal, but if you look at it, the last time you spoke to us, you said you are expecting 30% ad revenue growth in this fiscal. So after demonetization, what exactly happens to that guidance that you gave? Will you still maintain it, or is there a downward risk?
No, definitely there will be a downward trend. So as you know that in the H1 we grew by 29.4%, which was close to the guided revenue. And Q3 is always high on growth, because of the festive season. So we are expecting a flat revenue in Q3, flat or maybe very little marginal growth. So to that extent, I think the overall growth guidance is going to get affected. I am unable to talk about the Q4 right now, although we are seeing that the advertisers have started re-engaging, because now there is a lineup of movies very good, like Dangal is releasing tomorrow. And then you have Raees, you have multiple movies, you have Jolly, Jolly LLB 2 in the next quarter. So multiple movies are coming. Lineup of movies is good. So people have started talking back. So I think the initial pinch that we felt, which started coming from 15th of November till 15th of December, has slightly started waning off. But it's still early to talk about the next quarter. But overall, I think the 30% growth will definitely not be achieved.
Okay. Mr. Agarwal, this is interesting, because there was some analyst report recently, analysts who had met with some cinema exhibitors, and they said that they believe there were a slower number of releases in the single theatre space. But what you're saying is actually contrary to that. I mean, is it that you speak for the entire industry?
So it has been very widely reported that the single screens are not getting the movie. In fact, I think those analysts have not done their homework well, because what has happened is that there are like 6 major movies have come in post demonetization. So there are 2 movies which were like Force 2 and Wajah To Moho, which released last week. These 2 movies were like the single screen and multiplex screen mixed movies. But then when you talk about movies like Rock On 2, you talk about Dear Zindagi, Befikre, that Kahani 2, these were really multiplex movies. So these 4 movies saw limited release, because Rock On 2 was not a single screen movie anyway. But when movies like Force 2 and Wajah To Moho came last week, Force 2 came a week after demonetization, and Wajah To Moho came last week, 5 weeks after demonetization. Both movies went to the expected number of screens. So they were very wide release. But yes, Befikre and all were brief release.
Alright, so we'll then focus on your ad revenue itself. Now your ad revenue is a function of 4 things, as we understand: the number of screens, the number of clients you have, number of minutes per screen, and the ad yield, which is the ad rate per minute. So let's address each of them individually. One, what is the kind of number of minutes per screen you would expect in the next 2 quarters? What have you done in the first half? Last quarter was around 5 minutes. And what is the ad rate, the yield per minute? Has that affected because of demonetization? Because we speak to a lot of companies and they say that ad inventory is available for much cheaper.
So H1, we, last year we closed the year with like 4.15 minutes. and H1 was 4.5 minutes plus. This quarter definitely the utilization will be less. Difficult for me to say what will be the utilization, and as I said, the overall growth in this quarter is expected to be flat. So far as the rates are concerned, you know, government rates are fixed, and we are not really seeing any reduction in the rates from the corporate sector. So while the contracts have been withdrawn, because all the entire corporate sector which are going to the consumers, they felt that, you know, consumers don't have money to pay, so why to advertise now? So I think across the board the ad contracts have been withdrawn, but we have not really seen impact on the rates. As well as I said, like tomorrow when the major movie is releasing, we are seeing a lot of contracts coming in for Dangal.
All right, Mr. Agarwal, for the moment we'll leave it at that, sir. We'll touch base with you post your earnings in the third quarter. Thanks very much for your time this afternoon. So that's the word coming in from UFO Moviez.